Hi, this is James from Apteco. Welcome to this session on getting started creating an Apteco marketing dashboard. Over the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'll help you create a marketing dashboard from scratch. We have other videos on how to use Apteco marketing dashboards. Now, in this case, I'm already logged into Apteco Orbit, our web platform. And if I choose dashboards from the menu at the top of the screen, I'm presented with a beautiful dashboard showing various different visualizations with charts and maps and numbers. But today's video is about how to create a dashboard like this. So let's use the menu at the top left-hand corner and choose Create New to create a dashboard. You can see I already have several dashboards I've created in the past, but this one is called Getting Started, and we're going to call it an introductory dashboard. When I press the Create button, you'll see a nice clear screen with the title and description filled in at the top left, the Save and Cancel buttons at the top right, and below that the filter panel where I can define the rule to determine the data I will present on my dashboard. Now in this case we're using Apteco's standard training database. It's the fictitious bookings from a fictitious holiday company, and the default in this database is the people who are customers of that fictitious company. For today's purposes, that default is perfectly appropriate. Let's create a rule to filter which of those people we're going to use on our dashboard, and I'll start by filtering by gender. I've searched, found the variable, and picked the value that I want, in this case the female customers. Let's add an additional constraint. So using an AND clause, I'm going to search for a product variable, and this is going to be allowing me to pick what type of products the customers have purchased. So in this case I'm picking package holidays. So we have a filter for female customers who are package holiday clients of our company. Let's add our first resource onto the dashboard, and I do that by using the Add Item button at the top left-hand corner. When I do, you can see we get a default size tile, which will move and resize later. But to start with, we're going to enter the title and description of this tile. And I'm going to start by showing the number of customers, and those are the customers within our filter. Now, we have various different types of visualizations. You can see bar, column, pie, donut, and line charts. We can show number cards, which is what we're going to use in this case, or different types of maps. So we can see if we pick from the measures here, we can choose what number to present. And in this case, I'm going to search for the people. Let's pick the people from our database within our filter, and the default is to show the count. We can apply that, and we'll see a preview updated quickly to show us we have 611,000 female package holiday buyers on our database. That number clearly will change as our database is updated and when people visit our dashboard. Let's do another tile, or add another tile onto the dashboard, and this one we're going to call number of transactions, and we are going to give it a description of from our selected customers. This time we're also going to show a number, but we're going to search for a different table in the database. In this case we're looking for holiday bookings transactions, and so if I pick the number of bookings and again choose just to display the count of the number of bookings. So we can see those customers have placed just over 1 million bookings. Let's add a slightly more powerful tile. Third time, this one we're going to do an average value, and this is of all transactions by our selected customers. And we're going to again do a number tile, but this time we're going to use the cost variable. So we're looking at the cost of the holiday, how much do they pay for the holiday, and because this is a numeric variable, we have the choice of what numeric function to apply. In this case, I'm going to choose the mean average, and we'll display that on the tile. You'll notice initially this is displayed just as an integer, when the tile is rendered for the user, they'll actually see the currency symbol appropriate on there. So 3 simple tiles. Let's add a visualization now, and this time we're going to do a bar chart, and we're going to look at the occupation of the individual. So we'll use occupation, and we'll do a description of role breakdown. So we'll leave it on the default, which is the bar chart, and we're going to search for the variable in our database that contains each customer's occupation. I'm just using simple variables here to give you the idea. And then for each occupation, we're going to choose what measure or calculated result to show. And we'll start again with the most simple. We will use a search for the people and just count that number. You can see below that, because we're displaying a chart for the first time, we can elect whether to omit occupation categories that have 0 population within whatever filter we're applying. We can see whether we display this in the unsorted, ascending or descending sequence, for example, whether to allow the user to see the numbers underlying the visualization, and later we'll learn how to define a drill down. So let's apply that chart, and you can see quite quickly in the default size we've got a bar chart. Let's add another tile. We'll just do a couple more. This one we're going to call customer recency. We're going to look at the dates, and we'll start with a breakdown by years. We're going to use a column chart, and we're going to look for the date of last booking. So a bit of a search term there, date of last booking. And because this is a date variable, the edit panel has offered me a choice of which banding of the dates to display. So I'm showing this to start with by years, and we're going to choose a slightly more powerful calculated measure on here, an aggregation, and we're going to look at the profit of the holiday bookings, and because this is numeric, we have the choice of what type of aggregation. In this case, we're choosing to sum those results. So far, nice and straightforward. Let's add another layer of detail. So this time, instead of adding a new tile, we're adding a drill down level within the existing tile. You now see at the bottom of the screen, we have an extra panel to fill in, and we're going to say that this is done by quarters. It's a column chart. We're going to choose the same dimension. You can browse to these variables in your folder structure, or you can use the search function as I am doing. And this time, rather than years, I'm going to pick quarters, but for simplicity, I'm going to use exactly the same measure. So I'm going to search for profit, and I am going to choose to summate that. And you can define further drill down levels, and the drill down path need not be as purely hierarchical as I've done in this case, linking one piece of data from one banding to another. You could drill from occupation to income to source code, for example, if that was a sensible analysis path or interrogation path for your users. Let's just do one more tile. We will add a map, and we'll choose add new, and we're going to give this one a description of spatial distribution, and that is by postal area. I'm going to choose one of several types of map that are built into Orbit, in this case the UK postcode area, and I'm therefore going to choose an appropriate piece of data to match, and in this case the variable is called postal area. There it is, nice and quick with our search, and for simplicity, for today's purposes, I'll just display the count of the number of people in each of those postal areas. So after a second or two, we have a nice preview. But clearly those tiles are all rather small, some of it's quite hard to read. So let's just learn about how we can adjust the layout. You can move any tile by just grabbing the center or the header of the tile. You can resize it by using any of the 4 edges or any of the 4 corners to drag the tile to the size that you want. And as I move it, you can see we get a nice snap to grid to show me where this tile is going to be displayed. I can leave white space between tiles, so I can move this to the right hand side and leave space alongside it, and I can actually move these cards out of the way, put them wherever I wish. Off the bottom of the screen, it'll just stretch the dashboard. I can move these number cards down onto the left hand side, for example, and I can even use tools to help me with the arrangement. So if I turned on, for example, the auto adjust, then as I grab the map and move it up, can you see it's pushing the other tiles out of the way? So auto adjust helps you move the tile to where you are positioning it. I can also use the alignment. So if I turn off auto adjust and ask the system to align to the left, you'll see we've now moved those tiles to the left hand side. Actually, I want to lay them out by hand, so let's turn off the alignment. We'll put the map over at the right hand side. We'll put the occupation up at the top here. Let's make it a bit bigger. We'll bring the customer recency that I pushed rather off the bottom of the screen. Let's bring that into the center here, and let's make our map a bit bigger. Lovely. It's not taken too long to create a nice layout showing numeric results, charted visual results, and spatial distribution. But this is suitable for a desktop size display. I'm editing this on a desktop, but I have the choice of editing for different size displays. At the top right hand corner, I'm currently on a desktop setting. If I choose the laptop setting, you'll see we get a preview for a slightly smaller display size. If I wish to, I can resize any of these, for example, and make them bigger on and off the edge of the screen, and introduce the scroll bar for my users as they look on laptop or on tablet, smaller again, or even right down to a mobile size display, where perhaps the most obvious thing I might wish to do is make this map a bit bigger. And you'll see if I grab the bottom of that tile, I can drag it off the bottom of the mobile display. When I let go, the size of that is fixed, and now I've got a full screen display on my mobile device that I could probably interact with reasonably successfully using my touch interface on the mobile device. Now, you do all the editing on desktop scale devices, but from the desktop you set the display that you wish for each of the other display resolutions, and the layout will be remembered for all 4 display resolutions. The sequence you set on the desktop starts the sequence that you have in the other devices, but from there on it will be retained for each device, and you can change it. So let's now save our dashboard. You see my name and description has been retained from the outset, and when I save this, we'll now see a quick progress bar, and then my new dashboard is displayed. If I wish to, I can make this my home dashboard. So at the bottom of the screen, you can see if I click here, I've made this now my home dashboard. Next time I visit the dashboards area of the Orbit web platform, I'll see this getting started dashboard as my start point. I can also share this dashboard, so it's available to other users. If I click the share button at the top right hand corner, I can share with individuals, I can share by email address within permitted domains set by your administrator, or I can share in this example with a special group called all, and that is all users who are currently on my Orbit platform, or who join the platform in days and weeks to come. So this will be available to all my users. So let's just share that. My dashboard has now been shared, and for today's purposes that is the end of our session. But join us again on another video to learn how to use Apteco marketing dashboards, where we'll learn about viewing the tiles, filtering by the characteristics of the data in those tiles, drilling through layers of data, sharing in more detail, and how to create campaign audiences from the filtered criteria created in an Apteco marketing dashboard. Thank you for joining this session. I hope it's been useful.